Are we back? That's my hope here. Okay, so let's see. I hope we're alive, Case. That's my hope here anyways. But so if you see a face, then my hope is that we're in the right place here. So go ahead and let everybody in the other chat know. I don't know what happened, but definitely a learning experience for a streamer. It must have been that I alt-tabbed. So what seemed to have happened is that I alt-tabbed out of Streamlabs, and then immediately, I mean immediately, the thing just like fell apart. So we are here. Let me go ahead and update Windy City Gridiron's player. But so let me get to this. Great.
This is the #1.
And let's do that. Okay. This. Edit it. Give me just a second to fix some things up real fast, and then we're in a good spot. Perfect. Okay, so finalize, publish, rad. Okay, so are we back? Yeah. Hopefully the chat's working. Hopefully everything is good. You guys go ahead and let me know what is going on. I am counting on you in this case. But either way, definitely some adventures in technical problems. But hey, I deal with those all the time in my real job. Yay. But anyways, back to the Madden, because that's really what we're all here for, right? So I'm going to gimmick Madden a little bit here. But the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to extend Kyle Fuller. Now remember, normally his contract has 1 year or like a couple of void years in it, so we're really only adding 1 year, but Madden doesn't know that because Madden's contract tool is almost shameful. So we are good to go. Let's extend Kyle Fuller, and we'll go from there. Again, we're just editing contracts because I want to make it clear what I think the cap is going to look like here. We also need to make a couple of cuts now that I think about it. But so let's go to the roster, and we will boot some people that I think are probably headed off. So first things first, yeah, let's go by savings. Let's just sort that way. It makes things easy for me. So it looks as if Jimmy Graham retired again, which is hilarious. Let's see. No, we have not. Oh my goodness. Are you serious? Am I somehow blurry? Let me know. Anything is helpful. We just want to get things working, for crying out loud. But it seems as if it's fine to me. So yeah, Madden in general, you know, it's fun. It's just not perfect by any stretch of the imagination. So at this point, one question that y'all need to be thinking about is what we're going to do with Hicks. I think, unfortunately, the Bears may need to trade him just for the sake of cap relief so that we can make moves in free agency. But at the end of the day, I will leave that up to y'all. We can also try to extend Akeem Hicks and lower his cap hit. That way, we've got options. But so let's go ahead and a couple more restructures that I want to make as we go on. We're going to restructure Cody White here. We're going to restructure Khalil Mack. We're going to restructure... Thanks, great. Thank you, Madden, for letting me know. I think Trevathan is a free agent in this for some reason. I don't know what they think is going on, but that is its own thing. But so, let's see. At this point, I've got all these numbers written down. So we're going to just drop his bonus down to $6.5 million. Again, this is, we're just gimmicking... We're gimmicking Max contract here. So what we can't, so Hicks is an interesting one. Somebody asked, can you not restructure Hicks? You can. You can restructure Hicks. The trouble is that you won't get back the same value that his current contract has. So his contract as it stands allows you to, that works. That's the cap hit. Remember, you can use the over the cap calculator to follow along if you want to. This is a restructure that we're simulating. Not just changing his contract willy-nilly. But so The trouble is that if you trade him, you get back about 10.5 million. You don't stand to actually gain anything from restructuring Hicks as it stands because he's on his last year of his deal, meaning that there's nothing to restructure. Remember, normally what a restructure actually entails is that you take a player's deal, you convert his base salary into a signing bonus, and you spread that signing bonus across the rest of the contract. So in Khalil Mack's case, again, using that over the cap calculator, Khalil Mack is being paid a base salary of about $20 million. So you take that $20 million, you divide it into fours, and you add about $5 million onto each of the last 4 years of his deal, those cap hits, and in this case, that saves you about $15 million in temporary cap. Does that make sense? Because 20 minus the 5 that come onto this year move along. Hicks doesn't have any of those years, so it's either extend and drop his hit that way, which you could drop it. You could try to drop it around $6-7 million if you're being really aggressive, or you trade him and you get the 10.5 million, or you cut him. But I don't want to cut Akeem Hicks. My heart is just not that. It's not that hard. I'm not that soulless, so I can't do that. Instead, we're going to just restructure as many people as we can. We're going to consider trading him. You guys tell me what you want to, or what you want to see, and at this point, yeah, I'll just drop it down. So in this case, Neo, I'm specifically editing it down to values that I found out earlier. So of course, I got you, JM. But so the reason that we're doing this is because I want to, yes, E&B, we did. We extended Kyle Fuller. You're adding 1 year. There's extension terms that you can get from Brad OTC that he thinks he would take that I thought were intriguing, and they dropped his cap hit to about $10 million. So I'm with you. I think Akeem Hicks needs a ring, and of course I hope it happens in Chicago. The trouble is that the way Ryan Pace has managed the cap, don't blame Hicks, don't blame me, blame Pace if you want to blame somebody, because Hicks is the only actual spot on the roster that seems to have any potential cap relief to it. So again, now we're going to simulate one last restructure. This should free up about $30 million in total cap, and then we will, for some reason, Trevathan retired, by the way. So I don't know why Trevathan's a free agent. I don't know why Jimmy Graham retired, but both of those cap contracts are cleared, which is hilarious. So what I traded to get Russ, so Madden only allows you to trade 2 firsts. Normally I would expect 3 firsts, but we did first this year, first next year, and David Montgomery, because I think actually David Montgomery makes a lot of sense in a trade, because you got to remember that what Seattle wants to do is run the ball and play defense, and so if running the ball and playing defense is what they want to do, they need a controllable running back, and David Montgomery makes a lot of sense in that case, because Chris Carson is about to hit free agency, and either they're going to pay him, which would be an expensive gambit, they're going to start Rashad Penny, I don't know about that, or they, in this case, take David Montgomery. He was the sweetener that we needed, and we lose a good running back that is going to be a real bummer to replace on this Bears team. But yeah, it'll work for us in this Madden world. Let me go ahead and drop this bonus down to 12.92 million. Remember that we're using very specific values that gimmick out the cap to where we want it. But so that's Neo. That's actually something that I've seen somebody talk about that I thought was hilarious, is this idea that basically the Seahawks and the Bears could just switch places. But so, that makes a lot of sense. That's great to know. Thank you about that tip about franchise mode. But so the Seahawks could become the defense-oriented team that runs the ball, especially if they took, say, David Montgomery and Khalil Mack, and the Bears could become the Seahawks, the team that throws the ball and has a decent defense that's not quite there yet. But so y'all make your decision on what we want to do about Khalil Mack, because at this point we have room to sign free agents. We're looking at a cap space of about 30 million, and we can bump that up to about 40 million if we trade Hicks. But ultimately I want to just make it plain that we can do whatever. You know what? We're probably going to. So I'm going to show what it's like to trade Akeem Hicks, what I think the Bears could probably get for him, because I think it's a 5th round pick, and I do want to throw that into the draft. So let me think. Who fits for Hicks? I think that there are a lot of teams, one of them being the Texans, one of them maybe the Seahawks, if they wanted him. I haven't done my homework enough to know what other teams around the league would value for Hicks. But let me just throw this on. I'll let Madden do the work for me. Find me a team that needs a right end, and we can go from there. Arizona makes sense too, but yeah, then they got JJ, so they should be good there. It's all about the team that wants to just go bananas. I'm not trading him to the Packers. That's just not a thing. We'll flick through. Right end, the Falcons. You know what? Sure. So at this point, let's take Hicks. We will, let's see if he takes it. So we'll throw Hicks in there. Hicks is a cap hit of $12 million, classes us up. We're going to be using a real draft class, yeah. But so I do think that they would like Hicks. You know what? We're going to trade him to the Tex. No, we're not. Let's stick with the Falcons. Let's see if we can get a draft pick. And you know what? Just because it's Madden, I'm going to ask for a fourth, and I bet you they'll give us one. I realistically think that chances are they want a little more than a fourth. Why is it not letting me? Oh, I see. See, it's because I was using the wrong thing. But so, yeah, Dexterousness on stream is always sort of a funny one. We're going to see if they can give us a round 4 pick for it, which I bet you they will because Madden. But so we got a fourth for Hicks. I think realistically speaking, chances are Hicks goes for a fifth. You're looking at the Calais Campbell trade if you want a specific what would you call it? If you want an example of that, that's the case. But so we have now created about $40 million in cap space. We can actually adjust the lineup, and you know what? We'll restructure Russ's deal too, just so that we can go like really, really bananas here. So we go to team, we'll go to roster, we'll go to Russell Wilson, and we can edit that contract down to the point where it's about $7 million off of a restructure because the length of his deal is pretty long. So at that point, he's got a signing bonus of, low, but we're just going to have to trick Madden. It's the best we've got as we drop this thing down and get him to the point where we can go through free agency and I can show you roughly what the Bears could look to do. But a lot of it's just ideas. So at this point, we are knee-deep. For anybody joining us recently, we are knee-deep in the Bears Russell Wilson offseason as we go through. But yeah, I'm with you. Trading Akeem Hicks would hurt. That one would be really, really hard on Bears fans' souls everywhere. The trouble is, I think, that he's the only space in which the Bears could really fix the cap at all. So unless you think Akeem Hicks is worth $12 million, which he very well may be, but this free agency in particular, you're going to want as much money as you can get because the free agents that we're going to be able to sign, it's not going to work this way in Madden, but they just can't afford to ask for what they used to be able to. So this is a season where you're going to end up, especially if the Bears really trade for Russell Wilson, the Bears could end up being a super team destination. And you could end up with a bunch of guys wanting to take cheap 1-year deals to come play on a Bears defense that has Eddie Jackson and hey, maybe it has Khalil Mack on it, maybe it doesn't. But yeah, $10.5 million in cap space ENB. So you either pay him $12 million or you take the 10.5 that you get. So let's see, the carryover cap. The carryover cap doesn't really help us this year a ton because it's all been factored into the next cap space, but that's a very good question. But so anyways, we have now factored in as much cap space as we're going to get. It's time to sign some free agents. And I've got some good bargain bin free agents that we want. None of them are going to be these guys. They're not going to be these incredibly high-priced free agents. We are going bargain shopping. The first guy that I'm going to put in an offer for, and I want to let you guys know that I have, are you kidding me? Did they re-sign Rashard Higgins? I fully expect Higgins to hit free agency, and he's not on here right now, which is yay, but we'll work with it. There are plenty of other players that we could get instead. But so there are tons of other options that the Bears are going to have down here. look, I don't necessarily think that they are Nelson Aguilar and the like, but what I will say is that there are a lot of receiving options, thrift store players, exactly like somebody said, that the Bears could look for that would end up helping the team, or at least stocking the cupboard should they have just gotten Russell Wilson. Okay, no, Rashard Higgins is here. So I'm going to get Higgins purely for the sake of not Madden, but instead for realism, because I think he was a player that I would expect to play fairly well. Not crazy, but you're talking about somebody that buoys Anthony Miller a little bit in that case. Exactly, Case. You took the words right out of my mouth. You're trying to take what you wanted Anthony Miller to be and to bookend him a little bit. So I do think the Bears are probably going to need, I wouldn't call it help at tight end, but they need an option to take a more receiving oriented value. The trouble is that if you can't tell, it's hard to find really good tight ends. But on our roster, all we've got is Kmet and Horsted. So I do want to take a look around the other free agents, and in this case, I don't want Robert Tonyan because I don't want to touch a Packer, even though I would think about it. Let's go with, 27 million total. What's the cap hit on these guys? Because I am curious there. $5 million for Jordan Reed's later years. I mean, might as well. That one I'll throw in there just because I was piddling around with tight ends. Oh man, is Jimmy Graham in here? Yeah, there he is. Yeah, I don't know why some of these guys are just popping off the roster, but I can tell you for sure I didn't cut him and Trevathan. They just disappeared. But either way, Mo Alley Cox is an interesting player. I would be a little surprised if he didn't get re-signed, but we'll see. In this case, you're going to see some because Madden moves. In this case, I'm going to just offer Jordan Reed because Madden, because it's easy and it helps us add some depth at tight end. Trevathan in this Madden franchise is gone, and it's a little weird. One player that I do think is really potentially helpful here look at this. It's Quentin Spain. It's a guy that we just talked about a little while ago. But so when you look at the rest of the roster, there are other options that I think the Bears could look at as far as a cheap right tackle that might hold them over in case of cutting Massey. In this case, I think Kevin Beachum is a good idea. So Beachum is a solid player on the Jets. A lot of his value has tanked because he was a Jet for as long as he was. I think I'd be surprised if the Bears get a deal quite this good. See that as about $4 or $5 million, but he would help hold down the position for almost exactly the same price as cutting Massey gets you, so that if you don't get a right tackle, you're not truly hosed. At right guard, looking around, it looks like there's actually a decent market developing here, but Brian Winters is a solid pickup. He's not somebody that I would say is my first choice, but the market didn't give us much, so I'm going to take Winters as well. Now we've got what I'm going to sit on as Leno, because I don't want to replace both tackles. I think that's extremely risky. Leno, Whitehair, Daniels, Winters, and Beachum. So we've got an NFL offensive line. Is it a good one? It's not what I said. But we do have an NFL offensive line that we can work from. Some other options that the Bears have here. You're looking at different kinds of players, again, bargain bin shopping. I love the idea of signing a Willie Golston, but I don't think the Bears have the money for him in this case. In case you may very well be right. It depends on, Case mentioned that they may want a center more than a guard. That could very well be true, but at this point, I'm going to slot James Daniels in at center because he was supposed to be this phenomenal center prospect coming out of Iowa, and he just got a ton stronger last year. We'll see what happens, but if the Bears get Russell Wilson, they may think that they could get more out of Daniels at that spot. So, Bean, I see you're talking about Mustafa. I think Mustafa's a great example. First of all, Mustafa's not in the game, which is hilarious. But so, well, let me see. Neo, that's exactly right. You draft two rookies and you get lit up. But so back to Mustafa. Mustafa's not in Madden, which is hilarious. But so I have to work around that. The other thing worth remembering, I think Mustafa is a really, really awesome, I think he's an awesome depth player. I'd be curious to see what happens with another year in the offseason, whether he's able to get stronger. But at this point, I wouldn't put him in as the starter. He's not the kind of guy that I look at and, oh my gosh, thank you so much, Charles. I just saw the alert pop up on my phone. Thank you. That was unbelievably kind of you. But so anyways, Mustafer's the kind of guy that I want on my roster. I do, because I think depth at offensive line is really key, but I'm not making him my full-time starter unless I need to. And if James Daniels can offer a little bit more strength, Mustafer had real issues with interior defensive linemen that would just drive him back into the pocket, and that happened against Jacksonville, so it didn't take ultra skilled offensive linemen, but it also happened almost every single play against Green Bay and against the Saints. So really good competition seemed to give him a lot of trouble, but hey, rookies take their licks. So it's the kind of thing that I look at and I say to myself, if if the Bears hold on to Mustafer, I'm not going to have any issue with it. I like Mustafer. Mustafer is a starter coming off of a UDFA season. You know what? That's a little bit of a stretch. I'm assuming Daniels until proven otherwise. At this point, for right end, because we actually don't, or left end, we don't have one on the roster. I'm going to make a short-term deal to Alex Okafor, who you could do worse with. In this point, he's like a 73. Again, some of this is just putting together a capable Madden team because it's a video game. But at the same time, I do like a lot of the different guys that we have options for here. I would love to bring back Brent Urban, so I'm going to. Brent Urban played really hard. He's a very good player against the run, and ultimately he's going to fit pretty cheaply under the cap if the Bears have the kind of space that we have created. So we want to leave about $10 million eventually, but we'll get there when we get there. Yeah, Brent Urban's fun. He's a good guy to have around. But so then we're going to take a look. Let's see what kind of value we could get at halfback. A lot of these are pretty high total deals. Doubt we're getting Le'Veon Bell, a guy that I think would fit. Just flicking through a couple of these. He's an agile one, a little older than I would anticipate. I'm having to actually kind of make this specific thought, or like make this specific decision very much on the fly. Damian Williams would make a lot of sense. I think that given his recent resurgence on I think his recent resurgence would make it tough. You know what? Maybe we'll just draft a running back. I think that makes a lot more sense than what we're doing there. So let's take a look at, oh yes, one more key position. Fournette would be fun. One more key position that I do think the Bears could get real value at in free agency this year is safety. Now, I don't actually believe the same way that Madden does that you end up with these like free safety, strong safety. I think it's kind of a crappy distinction, if I could be really honest with you. But at this point, again, we're playing a video game, so I've got to run with it at some point. In this moment, what we are looking for, there's Gibson. I actually had the Bears, because I had run this before as sort of a mock offseason to walk it out and try to make sure that everything made sense. I think that, two right guards, by the way, to be looking at are Feliciano and Feeler, but we'll get there later. What the safety that I would want if I got to choose it would be Trey Boston. Now, that would give us two ball hawks and a guy in Boston who kind of comes downhill, but in Madden mode, that doesn't work because he's a free safety. So in this case, right, we're probably going to go with Carl Joseph, to be honest. He's a downhill hitter that'll work for us in this Madden sphere, and so we'll take it, we'll give him the offer he wants, and go from there. One other option, or one other thing that we've got to do now that we've let Akeem Hicks go, is that we've got to replace what he can do at that defensive tackle spot. Yeah, I agree. I think Boston is underrated. I think he's the kind of player that would plug and play really well. Let me take a look, because I can't find them. I don't know how Madden has them classified, and I thought I had a handle on this earlier. But Kawan Short and Tyson Alualu are two guys. Here's Tyson, so we'll probably take him. That's a defensive tackle that I would look at, and he's a little old, but he's the kind of guy that I think the Bears could, oh boy, actually, he's asking for a little more than we can pay. So we're going to take a slightly cheaper guy Kawan Short should be what we need, roughly. But we'll figure it out. But so, yeah, I do think his archetype fits it. But so at this point, we're a little shorter on cap than the game seems to. Oh no, I'm reading it wrong. That's what's going on. So We'll take Kawan short. I think we're ultimately going to be able to get him for much cheaper than $6.39 million, but we will get there when we get there. At this point, the Bears roster is, if everybody takes the contracts, which they should, this will, like, our roster looks very different than it did. So let's adjust it and make sure that we're all clear on what's going on. So one thing that's really interesting, by the way, is that Cody Whitehair, if you switch him to left guard, actually gets better, which I think is hilarious. So at this point, we got Jesper Horsted over there as the third center. So look at him. Like, that, talk about positional flexibility. That's it right there. But so let's put Hambright in as the starting center just for a split second so that I can move Whitehair into top guard, go back to center, move Daniels, who's not a terrible center, into the spot, and now we're looking at exactly the offensive line I was talking about, which in this case, we've got Winters, sure. We've got Bobby Massey. I guess I forgot to cut him, so I'll let him know that he's done, and because we're working around that. But so let me go ahead and cut Bobby Massey, and we will go from there. I do think the Bears want to replace a tackle, and also I think that they should. So this is exactly the kind of move that we're looking at. This must have been one that I forgot about. It seemed as if he had done that for me earlier. But so now that we've got a little bit more cap space, we can take a look at the roster and figure out what it is that I forgot to do. So the Bears don't really have an HB1. That's something we definitely want to fix. We've got Rashard Higgins, Darnell Mooney, and Anthony Miller. You could do worse as wide receiver 2 through 4. But so defensively speaking, you truly have a bunch of, like, we have a mercenary looking defense. Okay, we've got Iggy in as middle linebacker 2. That we can change. But we're looking at, like, Eddie Jackson, Carl Joseph, which I think could be Eddie Jackson, Trey Boston, Kyle Fuller on the side, newly extended. Brent Urban is now a starter because you got to do what you got to do. Bilal Nichols and Eddie Goldman, he'll come off of injury at the end of this season. That's the best way that they did that. So then we've got decent depth on the defensive line. It's not a strong point. And yeah, we did, Steven. We traded for what did we trade for Wilson? Number 1, number 2, and David Montgomery. It worked for Madden. I would probably expect a third first-round pick in the future and maybe another player, and I think it's all well worth it because the one thing Madden's not lying about is this idea that Russell Wilson is a 95 overall. That feels strong, and it feels about right. But what we've got to go do is we've got to go sign another middle linebacker. So let me go see if I can find somebody in free agency that works for a little more than just Maddening. So let's go to middle linebacker, which is more like inside linebacker, but at some point I'm just splitting hairs. There's Danny Trevathan sitting there, 75 overall, which I think is kind of funny. But so you know what? We'll re-sign Danny Trevathan, if only because roughly $5 million actually makes him fit what the Bears have going on, like in real life. So re-signing him is not that weird by any stretch of the imagination, and we can go from there. It looks like we're pretty deep in the available funds thing, which I don't know what that mechanic is about. Maybe it's about me getting fired, but we're gonna load up and win a Super Bowl, so we're good to go. But yeah, I agree with you about Wilson talking about how he's kind of underrated. I think that he gets a lot of crap for being on Pete Carroll's team. But so let's see, download from Madden share. I think that this should already be on my machine, but we're just gonna do it anyways to be perfectly safe. And let me take a look. Ooh, we are not being quick today. But yeah, I had a feeling, Case. At this point, I mean, I gotta use what I gotta use. So let's download the file. We'll overwrite my file, and we'll go from there. So start thinking about running backs you want, because it looks like we're drafting one. But so Harrison, I agree with you. I'm not going to mess with Madden's positioning at this point, not just yet anyways, because there's a whole bunch of stuff where, like, it is a video game, and that's one thing that I do think is hilarious, is just this idea of, like, you look at a player, and yeah, maybe they'll grow up, but this is dramatically underrated. It's dramatically underrating Mooney. He's much better than a 75. Is he Robinson's 90? That's not 100% fair, but if I was going to peg it, I would look you in the eyes and tell you Mooney played at minimum an 82, at maximum probably like an 85 at best. Very, very good player. And and somebody that I think Bears fans should be very, very excited to watch going forward. Should he be the wide receiver 1? Probably not. That's why I tagged Robinson. But I do think that he's very, very, very good. So start thinking about running backs. Anybody got any ideas? I don't want to scout Trevor Lawrence. It always makes me burn a bunch of stuff on Lawrence. But we're not drafting Lawrence. Great to know that he's an early first rounder. Neat. So let's go to running back. And anybody got any good ideas? We're probably looking around a 3rd rounder or something like that. Now, granted, Madden likes to draft their running backs. I know Chuba Hubbard is somebody that I've seen play very well. Ooh, late first-round talent. That's what I'm talking about. But so, yeah, Madden ratings are always kind of garbage. Wait, so why was it what? Javonte Williams.
Has a combine grade. Now, this
yeah, no kidding.
How well the player
Let's
did
see.
in the combine. Combine performance tells you how players speed,
gracious.
Jumping, acceleration.
Let's see. Javonte Williams. I'll scout him. Let's see where they've got him. Mid-4th rounder. Remember, we're working with somebody's Madden ratings of what they thought the players were. So we're getting something interesting. But so, that's hilarious. So let's take a look here. I don't want to tie myself to Chuba Howard necessarily. So we'll see. Man, this really is the sort of thing that I look at and I'm like, I wish I was any better as a draft Nick. We'll just scout some random guys like Max here, Kennedy Brooks, why not? We're going to get more scouting stuff, and I cheated and already scouted some of these guys, and it should be the same file. Ha ha. But so we'll, I've got some other ratings that we can go through as we advance throughout the offseason. But so let's go to next week. Doesn't look like anybody denied the contracts, which is great. But so let's move on. Yeah, we're just going to kind of scout some different people. Oh, I would love to have Infante guest star. I talk about it, or I talk to him all the time, or in terms of like potentially coming onto the channel. But the man's busy. He just released his draft guide, which is awesome. And in case you can't tell, I am picking up Roquan's 5th-year option because I think we can all agree that that's just a must. Alex, I did a whole bunch of offensive line scouting earlier, so we're going to do that. I want to make sure we do our best not to miss on the running back, but let's go to right tackle. For instance, let me see. Raduns, I know. Slater, I know. This guy's Slater's a late 2, or Raduns is an early 2. Darisaw is a late 3. Mayfield is a late 5. Jackson a late 4, and Little a late 4. But so at that point we'll stick with what we've got there. Let's take a look at the guard spot, maybe even the tackle. Let's go to left tackle because I know there's a bunch of prospects over there, and we want to make sure that if we can, we get somebody in the 2nd round. I'm not saying that it's a need, but I'm kind of saying it's a need. Okay, so mid-6th rounder. Good to know. We want to reach as little as possible here. But so Eichenberg is not all that great. Let me see. Do I have anything on Carmen? Mid-1st, Nito. So let's see. Sewell's name? Oh, I have no idea. I have absolutely no idea what Sewell's name is. But apparently it censored it. Yeah, Raduns over there. I'm telling you, there's some of the stuff that you got to understand as somebody who likes to study the NFL but doesn't know a ton about the draft because other people study the draft like all the time. It's definitely something that I look at and say, I'm just going to leave to them. Let's see. Somebody talked about Puka. I'm dying to know where Puka Williams is ranked because Puka was a beast over at Kansas. Mid-4th. That's really solid. So there could be some value there. But so let's see. 200. I have no idea, but maybe. Let's see. Or what else do we got? Let's go Jared Patterson, see how he is. Early 7th. And we'll keep the scouting points for next week. And we are slowly closing in on the draft. Which thankfully we don't have to draft a tight end because I looked at the tight end draft class and it is terrible in this. But we will go with what we got. I also don't necessarily know if we need a wide receiver. Thankfully, we get a little help there, and we have the time to develop a wide receiver if it comes to it. But I wanted to make sure that we are good on the left tackle spot. Seems like we are. We'll stay out of the center market, if only because we generally know what we're looking at there. and we want to kind of keep a spot around for, what is his name, Mustafa. Let me see. What thoughts about a late OL pick? Jameis, like which one? Or Jameis who? Or do you know what position he plays in the world of Madden? Because if you do, that's great. Let's see, right end. I looked at a bunch of these guys. Let's see, Smith and Jones. Jones I didn't look at, so we'll take a look there. Early fourth, good to know. Let's see, Smith, Odigizua, Taylor, Hubert. Okay, I have all these guys sorted, and none of them are very good, which is not what you want to hear, but it's the way this guy had him graded. We'll take a look at some of these guys. Let's see, left end, Smith and Perkins I wrote down. So let's see how Ozitaworke is. He's an early 3. Dimajuke is a 5th rounder. Let me see, Laron. Okay, I agree. I hope Cohen comes back for sure. I think if Cohen comes back explosive, that would be really, really awesome. Let's see. Looking for Brendan Jameis, so I am not seeing him here. And again, this is just a created Madden thing, so let's take a look. Brendan Jameis. This one's for you guys. Let's see. Brendan Jameis. Lot of censored names. Wonder what these kids are putting in their coffee. And then, yeah, I have no idea where he is. Maybe he didn't get created, which would be a real bummer. Real darn shame. But so, let's take a look at some of the defensive tackles that we've got here. We'll go Corey Durden, decent player. Campbell, solid. Davis. A lot of good dings here. We like these things. Yeah, Case, I've got no idea, but it's funny. Mid-third. Cool. So at that point, y'all, it's draft time. Let's do this. So knowing where our team is, let's dive in. But we'll take one more look just to make sure that we've got everything that we wanted, or at least roughly. We are looking for a starting right tackle. We want Beecham to be the backup. We would love a right guard if we can get it, but we traded our first round pick away. It's why I invested in a decent stopgap like Winters here. Not to mention, I'm hoping Hambright kind of comes alive a little bit, but I'm not betting anything on it. So from there, or defensively speaking, we would love a little bit of depth here on the defensive line, but we will get there when we get there. You could, like, Gibson seems like solid depth. Kawan Short is, or like, as more depth and so on and so forth. NBA, my heart can't handle it, but we'll figure it out. I think that the guy has Wilson graded as really bad, but it's just a guess. So Najee Serene, if we end up with the pick, we'll go with it. But we've got some 5th round picks that we can go with. We're gonna look at, or we're gonna look hard at halfback. That's gonna be something that we need out of this draft. So right tackle and halfback with a little bit of wide receiver. I don't ever think that you can go truly wrong with wide receiver. But let's dive into the draft and see what we can do. So advance to next user pick and go from there. So we roll through the first round. We get that off. We get that tweet. The Bears have drafted Russell Wilson, and everybody goes, "Yay!" and hits retweet on it. So let's take a look here. Looks like Zach Wilson is in the second round again, which is hilarious. But so I'm gonna take a drink of water here, and we're gonna take a look at what we've got. We're looking for anybody in the position of left tackle and right tackle, all things told, because they should. Holy smokes! Nothing available at left tackle. Can't be too shocked. And Darisaw here at right tackle. Let me see. I can't remember who they have rated higher. Because can I be really honest with y'all? I don't care. But it looks like they've got Slater as a low 2, Darisaw low 3. Darisaw is the best one that we got here, so we're going to just want him, and we're going to deal with some rookie struggles, because Mayfield doesn't get any better. He's considered a low 5 in this, and I don't know if I would have risked it with Alaric Jackson, so that'll do. It's not what I want, but it's the best we've got. It's going to tell us we reached, but we only reached for about a round. So That, or like, we've got our starter at right tackle. This is what happens when you draft for need. This, like, to be totally fair, that's how it works. If I'd passed on him for another round, I can guarantee you he's not there. So at this point, now we go to the third round. And we've got a lot of options here. Let's take a look through. Yeah, Darius on the late second round would be awesome, wouldn't it? So let's take a look at our right and left end. I can't believe I'm doing this. I just want to see what kind of talent's available. And it looks like we've got an option here if we wanted another left end. He's a third round talent and he fits the bill. So you guys go ahead and let me know whether you want that. Our other options, we could, let's take a look at the halfback market here. We could take Borgoy here. He's a solid one. If we're talking about just immediately diving in and going with that, we can. It looks as if a lot of our other guys aren't available. We could wait for Puka Williams if we wanted to go for value, but there's always the chance that he won't be there. So what do y'all want to do? Do y'all want to go defense? Do you want to go wide receiver? And we try to take one of these guys that should be higher up but is not. What do y'all want to do? Because Amon St. Brown here is a third round talent. We can also take a different player and hope, but I'm not 100% sure that they're any good. It's y'all's call. Do we want wide receiver? Okay, we'll wait for Puka. So wide receiver makes sense. Do we want to go defense? Because I think at this point, given that we traded Akeem Hicks, I think this is as good as we're going to get, especially given that we're waiting on the 5th round. So you know what? I'm going to make the call. I want a little bit of meat up front. Brent Urban does not need to be our starter, and we'll take this. 68, you could do better, or you could do worse, and we finally got good pick. Anybody who watched last time's draft stream saw that I reached on literally all of the picks, so this works. And I totally agree with you, Case. I'm thinking that we could probably get a running back here in round 4, so let's go ahead and pick the player. Let's go to halfback. We can still get Max. It looks like we actually made a pretty decent decision here. And I agree with y'all talking about like how there's a whole lot of, or there are people mocking Tony to us in the first round, and I think all that's just nuts, especially since hopefully we don't have a first round pick. I'm all in on this Wilson train. So we've got an option to take Max here out of Washington State if we want to. Another option, I bet there's a wide receiver. We could get him. He is a true 3rd round grade in this. But so let's take... So do y'all want to go with a 4th round pick, wait for the 5th round to take our feature back, which we could do, and we could play Cohen and somebody else like Puka Williams, who's a very solid, elusive back, or we can also take, so if we take a wide receiver, we could take one of these high-rounded guys. We could take St. Brown, who's a big guy. I think that could be a decent decision. You know what? Let's just test it out. We'll figure it out. St. Brown's a good player, so we get a good pick from him. That works for us, and we can move on to the 4th round and figure it out. Or the next round. In this case, we get a 5th round pick from ours. So let's make our selection. Oh, we traded for the 4th rounder. That makes a lot of sense because I forgot that we just went to there. Puka's our choice. We're gonna take him. We get the good pick mark, oorah, and we move on. Sure, he's a 66, but he's got that hidden trait. So we go from there. JM, we drafted Darisaw. We drafted St. Brown, the receiver. We drafted a right end that I knew was pretty solid from prior play. And now we've drafted Puka Williams as our running back. And if we play 500 downs with him, exactly, ENV. This is what happens when I play enough franchises to have done it, or to know what's going on. Let's go to next user pick. So at this point, we're gonna do our best to make our 6th and 7th rounders count. So let's see what we got here. What we can do, let me think. So who do we got on our roster that we necessarily need help with? Let's take a look at the team. I don't know if they have been added yet. It doesn't look like they have. But so we could probably use some meat up front, sure, but we're probably going to start Darisaw. Let me see. Puka play at Kansas, would you believe it? But so it's a good question, Case. I think money is the answer. So I have no idea what they would take in terms of contracts. We've got some meat there, so we're good, or at least better. We could take a linebacker, but we haven't scouted any of them. I don't necessarily want to draft an outside linebacker because we've got Gibson. Then again, if we've got Gibson there, let's go take a right or a left end. We could do worse. We traded a whole bunch of them. And so let's pick the player. Trouble here, of course. Kadarius Toney is now fallen all the way down. We could take Big Cat Bryant if we wanted to. Amari Rodgers is, let me see, how is he? He's a late 5, so that's if we wanted to stash some talent there. But I tend to doubt that a lot of these guys are particularly good. But so let's see. We're going to be playing games, Beast. I fully plan on, once we get done with this, playing a couple of games while we have the opportunity. So let's see. We've got some guys in the 6th round. He's a late 7. Hubert here he's a 6th rounder, so we'll take him as a 6th rounder and get some depth.
Chargers are now on the clock.
This is what I get for cheating. But so it's nice when you play with the same draft over and over because you know how this guy scouted everybody. So remember that most of this is me trying to game the system and get some nice Madden ratings instead of anything else. But so let's take a look here. We don't want another wide receiver. We already drafted one. It's not to say you can't have too many wide receivers, but we want some depth around where we can. So let's take a look. You know, what we could do is we could take a look at the halfbacks area. We've got Jamar Jefferson, Trey Sermon. Looks like a lot of them are gone, which is understandable. Either way, another guy that we could take is a kicker, but we're probably going to fill that with like a late season addition. So let's take a look at safety. Any of these guys particularly stick out. But so let's see. I mean, yeah, either Hines or Verdon would be really solid running backs. So somebody talked about taking a censored name, so we're going to take a censored name because why not? It's just goofy. And he's bad. This is what you get. This is what you get for taking censored names. But so, yeah, exactly. They're definitely harsh on Tony in this, but whatever. At this point, we conclude. So we take a look at 2020 retirements. Looks like Alex Smith is done playing football. So you tip your hat to a good career and you go from there. At this point, adjusting the lineup, I want to start Darisaw, if only so that he's going to get some quick experience. Russell Wilson is going to have a harder time for it, but that's how it goes. I think we want to probably... Okay, do we want to start Cohen? No, we want to start Puka, because as much as... Oh my gosh, Puka looks like he's 80 years old. But so... As good as Cohen is, I don't want to push his luck in terms of injuries. Something we are going to do is we're going to... Oh, look at that. Pinheiro must have gotten hurt or something last season, but because he wasn't there anymore. But so Pinheiro is also our punter. Can I use one roster spot for both of those? That'd be great. Let me see. How do I go about signing free agents? Let's see. Draft recap. Don't care. Just roster. Also don't. Let's see. I have absolutely no idea where the where those plan. What do we call it? I don't know where the UDFA part is, but whatever. We've got Nick Foles backing him up, Eddie Pinheiro as our third quarterback, of course. So let's take a look at improving the team. Got some big decisions, guys. Should we trade for Gardner Minshew with Russell Wilson? Kind of thinking maybe. But so let's go to punter. It really does have Pinheiro as a decent punter, and I just don't see the need given that we're never going to punt. But so that'll work, and we take a look at the lineup. Let's see, are there any major holes before we go on? It looks as if we've got the roster more or less we could be looking for. We've got Jordan Reed and Cole Kmet here on offense. I bet a bunch of the free agents would be fine. Yeah, let's see. We could take a look there. I'll poke around the free agent lob market just so that we have a little bit of depth, but I'm not expecting a ton. Let's see. Lob. Looks like everything's trade for. defensive tackle is trade. We'll just roll into the season. Let's start playing some Madden. So let's do it. Every time it randomizes the schedule, based on what I understand, by the way, which is hilarious, because it means that our schedule may have nothing to do with what it actually was. Oh, yeah. Does it get any better? Does it get any better than starting it out going after the Lions? I love it. So let's set our season goal. You know what?
Season goal comes with higher reward.
We're gonna make the playoffs. I want to. You know what? Let's see. Do we go playoffs or Super Bowl? Let's see. Let's go playoffs. We can commit to our goal for that. But so we're about to start playing, boys and girls. Apologies, sir. So let's see the team. Adjust lineup. We don't have enough players, but we have Russell Wilson. That's the big key here, as we are going to play. Yeah, okay, I like it. Higgins. I want to put Mooney in as wide receiver 3, if only so that he can get those stats that I think, or the snaps that I think he needs. So Miller, you're wide receiver 4. In fact, I'm going to put Mooney over Higgins, so that he can be number 2. Mr. Mack, our running back is going to be Puka Williams. We're just going to roll with it. So let me take a look at. I do want to understand. Oh shoot, he got 89 snaps already. Yes, that works for us. But so I want to just understand his. Okay, he's fast. That works for me. I think I can work with fast. Not a ton of broken tackle related stuff, but that'll do in terms of just making a 66 sing. So let's go with that. Let's make this work as we advance and move on to, oh no, wait, we got to play our game, of course. Change the number on Williams to what? Okay, slot is its own position, but so, oh yeah, no, that's a good idea. Let's change 48 to anything else. He can do better than this. But so, let's take Puka down to, what do we want to do? I don't want to do 22 because I like Matt Forte. You know what? Who am I kidding? Let's. When y'all think of a player's number, what are you guys thinking of? Because I could see him go into a whole bunch of different things. Looks like he can't be 22, so 26, 27, 28, 31. 28 works. I'll stick with 28 until somebody gives me a better idea, but that should work for him. Do we want Russell Wilson at number 3 or number 16? Actually, I don't know what number he is in this case. It should. Okay, Bronco Nagurski is... he's retired, but whatever. Russell Wilson can do whatever he wants to do in this case, but that's just me. We'll see what the Bears do. It wouldn't surprise me if he moves to 16. As far as weekly training goes, I want to make sure the right guys are highlighted. Nagurski, St. Brown. Part of me wants to highlight Mooney anyways, just so that he can grow a little bit faster, but that's just me. Yeah, I think that's what I'm going to do. Let's go to wide receiver. Let's get Darnell Mooney, who's got a star dev trait rolling, so that he can be that little bit faster. Let me see. What does deep pass flood do? Yeah, that'll... Let's do wide receiver. Anything that does wide receiver offensive line probably ought to be what we want. That'll do. Cool. So, training done. Let's sim it and start our game. Madden time. All right, so last thing we got to do that takes a little bit of time. Looks like we're starting. I'm down to start the season with this. That's just me. But so, what do y'all think? I am all about these uniforms. These are some of my favorite uniforms that the Bears have. But my big take is that this uniform is classy. I remember Jay Cutler being in it all the time, and that's like what I grew up on back when I got like that pennant. But that's just where I'm at, and that's all right. We're gonna stick with this because I haven't seen anything get thrown in the chat, but I am curious to hear what y'all's favorite Bears uniforms are, because those are mine. Those are the uniforms that I go bananas for. I love the new throwback unis. Think they're awesome, but that 2010 alt is my favorite. Oh man, the all white uniform, the polar bear, I love that one too. But that is a or what do you call it? That is an away uniform. But yeah, am I seeing Russell Wilson? Yeah, we get to. There's Matt Nagy fired up. Russell Wilson leading out the team. The orange ones are polarizing. I definitely agree with that. Sometimes I'm in the mood, but lately we've been losing at him a bunch, so it's thrown me off. Let's see. You know, it's crazy. It looks like they've almost got footage of the game before it happened. Is the NFL rigged? Is the NFL rigged? Madden's not. So we'll see. I just got to make sure not to take Russell Wilson work him too hard, or else I could end up down 14-0 again, which is not the idea. But yeah, this offseason is surprisingly accurate, like, to what could happen. It all depends on what the Bears ultimately trade for Russell Wilson, and it's like March. Yeah, Alex, at this point, Stafford's still on Detroit, but hey, what can you do sometimes? Let's see. Yeah, right, Quantum? Man, that Caleb Haney game in 2010 was just wild. I remember being that basically spawning way too much faith in a Bears backup, but it was fun. It was really fun at that time. Is Jordan Reed returning kicks? Who's Watkins? Did I sign somebody named Watkins? I don't know, but here he goes. To the 25. There we go, folks. All right, so we're going to try to... Yeah, obviously it's Sammy. I definitely have the cap space for that. Here's Russ, ready to go. They're going to show a bunch of stat numbers. I love it. This is Madden for you. So he's going to get in the huddle. It's time to let Russ hand it off again, because we're going to start this out by pushing it through their line a little bit. I like that. Madden does not, but I do. And Puka starts off his Chicago Bears career with a 5-yard gain, which really works. But yeah, ENB, we're going to let Russ cook. But what I got to do for a little bit is at least run the ball to give him the impression and to get Russell really mad, because, you know, he's just going to play so well if he's mad. Oh, Puka! Here he goes! 66 overall! Boom! Boom, baby! Take that, Lions! 2 yards, 52, or 2 rushes, 52 yards. Can you even imagine how immediately, like, Puka Williams sales are flying? Puka Williams stuff, it's going off. See, that's why we run the ball, because they're expecting that let Russ cook kind of stuff. And now we've got Jordan Reed and Cole Kmet coming off of one of my favorite patterns. As we've got tight end drive, and it's not going to work, so Russ is going to scramble for us. And we get 7 yards. All on the ground. Everything's on the ground so far. I think this is hilarious. Alex, I do too. You got it. Mom, can I not get a 28 jersey? Like, that's what this is all about. As Russell Wilson lines up, 2nd and 4. And, ooh, we've got the blitz we want. Oh, thank you, Jordan. Get in. Touchdown. Here it is. Hit him with the spike. Boom. Big free agent signing. Big trade. Russell Wilson fights through the sack. Thank you, Christian Darrisaw. And Jordan makes the catch off of a big Puka Williams run. Bears Twitter's exploding, and it's 7-0. Go Bears! So then our P for K'er over here, Eddie Pinheiro, who's also our punter, is going to go ahead and kick it off, and bang, there we go. Let's see, what drive? Did I miss a drive goal? That's hilarious. Boom. Yeah, I mean, I kind of agree with you, Neo. Like, it sounds so corny, but I would love to see, Wilson or Watson, if only because I do think that you could actually gain some regularity in terms of scoring. And watching the Bears actually play on offense, look at Robert Quinn here playing teams, would be a blast. Matt Nagy's pumped. He's like, my job is safe. I can do this. As Matthew Stafford, who actually, that's a really good virtual representation of Stafford. That looks a lot like him. Let me take a look. Jay, it should be all pro, but let me make absolutely certain it is. Okay, thank goodness. Case, I can't check hashtag memes because I'm deathly worried that my stream's gonna break again. So let me poke this up on my phone. I love the time stuff. The time stuff is funny every time. But so let's do a standard cover 3. I'm going to worry, or I'm going to let you guys know right now, I am not so well schooled in defense that I can just pop a bunch of stuff out. But I do know that the Bears are actually going to probably want to line up in a bunch of... No, this is more realistic because we're going to line up in a bunch of 2-high packages. So we're going to play cover 1 out of... We didn't do it. It's supposed to be 2 safeties. Instead we got Eddie Jackson in like the man cover 1 hole. Make the tackle. There we go. Khalil is in the zone, baby. Bear down. But so, with that in mind, let's go cover 4. Khalil's ready. I'm not good enough to user people. And, that was funny. But so, that'll work for us as we go ahead and take the next punt. But so, that was not what I anticipated, but it'll do. All right, so who do we got here? Cohen's going to take this ball, run that rock. Oh! Nice return there, Tariq. 19 yards off of a broken tackle. And everything's coming up Bears. So how do we go ahead and what's the game plan, coaches? What's the game plan? Are we letting Russ cook, or are we putting Puka back or giving the ball to Puka? Because he carried us to victory last time. Let's see. Do we have a goal of some kind? Let's see. Okay, so this is an RPO. My whole goal off of this play is to try to get Robinson the ball, and it's not going to work because Robinson got covered, and Puka's going to get us 3. Yeah, all right. We got a lot for Cook. We got a lot for Puka. Let's see. Let's do the RPO again. Let's see if this will do it. Big contract. Oh, well, actually, he's playing on the tag. Let's see. 3rd and inches. Obviously, we want to line up. We want to run this straight down the gullet. Stop it. Show me what I want. It's not doing it. I'll take it. Go, Puka. Boom. That's it. That's it right there, Neo. Run the ball, force punts. It's exactly the offense he left. Let me see. Get in the bro. Or the gun. Oh, I agree. But right now, single back's working too well. Puka's just picking up yard after yard. He's got 5 for 65. Fantasy owners everywhere are stoked. Go, Puka. All right. You know how it is. We're going to go no huddle. We're going to let Russ cook a little bit with the same concept we've been running. Speaking of, I mean, this is so easy. Look at that. Bada boom. Let me see. Yeah, exactly. So let's do what old coach said. Let's get in the gun. Let's get a slant pattern going. Because we got to get running back in. Or not running back, Robinson going again. That's what I intended to say. Looks like Trey Flowers is hurt. It's not good. Yeah, and Quantum, this isn't even with Goff. So we're doing all right here. Let's see. All right, so obviously we got to get a little bit of Nagy stuff going. So I'm going to run us a nice little sweep here for Mooney. And now everybody's mad. That's the play right there that gets people pissed, and maybe rightfully so. But so let's see. Somebody says commit. I want to see if we can sneak this ball to Miller or Jordan Reed. Reed's going to be the Reed, and he's in. Boom. Jordan Reed is looking like a solid free agency signing right here, as Russell Wilson is just carrying Matt Nagy to a big-time lead. 13-0. We line up for the PAT, and we're not even out of the first quarter. Bears fans everywhere. Juiced. Oh! That's it. That's it, Quantum. I'm gone. All right, so there goes the kick. With that in mind, let's go for this. Yeah, exactly. I tried the screen, and it didn't work. Standard Bears, really. As Cole Kmet playing teams comes down, and it looks like we've got him at the 25. So actually, no real gain. But so 13-0, and of course, what's Bears Twitter saying? Are we saying, hey, we're juiced, we're stoked, or are we saying, you know, that one's gonna come back to haunt us? We gotta make sure that the Lions don't get us or get us on that one. It's probably the latter. Oh, big time Mac. Let me see. Oh, and I got, or Quantum, I can't just do that, but Jermaine Ifedi's got to blow like a fat block or something right off of that to where it just doesn't work. But yeah, Alex, that's exactly right. They're saying, why did we let Santos go? Let me see. I'll tell you what, Superman, I am definitely much less a blitz-heavy defensive coordinator and much more a do everything with coverage. But I agree. Let's see. So, yeah, we'll run cover 6. Because I'm a coverage-focused person, in my opinion. But that's partially because... Oh, great. Alright, well, we gave up our first down, so game over. I'm with you, Luke. I think these jerseys are phenomenal. Like, I am so in on these blue jerseys in particular. It's why I set them as my default. But so, let's get a decent coverage rotation going. Go, Mac! Yo, we did it! And then Khalil Mack's going to give a nice little standard celebration. You know, those are the 1934 throwbacks, and they're rad too. So let's do. We don't need a contain call, but so let's go with nickel blitz. I think we can handle a nickel blitz.
18 yards to go now on second down.
Let's see.
Another try after the first down.
Oh boy.
Stafford, he'll get that complete to Hunter
All right.
Bryant, the tight end.
So let's see. 3rd and 4. What kind of defense are we looking at? I'm gonna go man cover one hole. I don't necessarily love it, but at the same time, I want to see if I can't mix things up, challenge the Lions, or like challenge their specific weapons a little bit as we get things moving. And we got it down. There we go. Nice play, Fuller. That's why we extended him. Guys, everything's coming up Bears in terms of this offseason. It couldn't have gone better so far. Russell Wilson's already converted multiple plays with his legs, and he's got 2 touchdowns on the day. Draft pick out of the 5th round, Puka Williams, is popping off. Like, this is going great so far as the Bears defense comes off after yet another quality stop. But so, let me get this rolling. Let's go with the gun. Let's see if we can run it out of the gun. I don't know if I love this, but the Bears do have numbers over there on the right-hand side. Let's see. Yeah, it didn't work. Fuller should be, and I bet he's not, unfortunately. So Russ is now in the gun. We're going to try to run a meshing action. I bet you we could get Jordan Reed over there, but a lot of this comes down to what I would... Yep, he's open. First down. Bears fans are just juiced at this point, you gotta think. We don't need the I formation, but I do like this. So this inside zone run in particular has worked really well for me in Madden. And so that's part of why I keep coming back to it, because I want to get Puka these running lanes so that he can just grind it down. Now we are coming up a little bit on some time issues. Kmet is not out. He's just TE2 at the moment. So let's see. Somebody called for Kmet. Let's get Kmet moving. Kmet can do this. There he is. Tight end's picking up yards. But so, with that in mind, let's see. Pace draft. Yeah, in reality, Alex, that's exactly what he meant. He meant RB. Yeah, I'll tell you what. Talking and playing Madden is kind of funny because when you want to run that hurry-up offense, you, your words start to fail you, and you're like, all right, I just need to be quiet and play some video game. All right, so let's get... No, I don't like the bubble. I want... There's a pop pass you can run out of one of these that I'm trying to find. So let's see if I can. Yes, this one. Perfect. Here's a Nagy call. Hey, Kevin. Great to see you. All right, so here we go. We're going to pull Miller across and hit him with the pop pass. And it works. 9 yards, baby. Oh, the Bears are picking up plenty of yards. Let's not even pretend. Take a deep shot to Mooney. They're in cover 2, so I don't know about that. But I'll tell you what. Miller. Oh no, it's going to be Robinson, and he's in the end zone. I clicked the wrong button, and it worked out. By the way, for those of you that are curious, all right, so TD, Russell Wilson, 3 TDs immediately in the first one. Quantum, for what it's worth, I think that it didn't help anything. So, did y'all listen, by the way, to what? Oh my gosh, what is this? It's Robinson. What Robinson was saying on that recent podcast for PFF. So one thing he talked about that I think was really important is they talked about how similar. They talked about how different. Apologies. Let me put my thoughts in order. One thing that Robinson talked about on the recent PFF podcast was how playing with Foles and playing with Trubisky basically couldn't have been more different. What this makes me wonder is whether Kmet had to deal with basically running 2 offenses, and if that was part of what, I wouldn't say held him back, but that would, like, tight end in the NFL is a hard position to learn in one offense, so trying to learn a true West Coast offense and the Trubisky, more McVay, Shanahan-style offense that they were running with him must have challenged just about anybody. It does make me curious, especially for a position as tough and challenging as tight end is, what that would be like, what that would have been like for him as a rookie, and how that would have challenged him. So in the world of, like, what do I think about Kmet? I'll tell you what, he had a decent first season. I don't think it was spectacular, but I don't think it was, like, bad by any stretch of the imagination, and I don't really like it when people, just to talk about it completely openly, I don't love it when people take a look at a pick like Kmet and call it terrible just because they wanted somebody different. But yeah, that's exactly right, Neo. We can talk and say, Foles and Mitch are completely different. But when a player comes out and says, holy crap, it was really different, I think that that's the kind of thing where you go, man, that must have been tough. But yeah, so we'll see what happens there. I'm curious because I am always a big fan of, Sam Z, you're here to watch the Bears win. I'm a big fan of letting tight ends get 2 years before you say almost anything about them. And like you're saying, Luke, Kmet is not a bad pick. There's no world where you can convince me he's a bad pick. Now, crazy good pick? Let's not go there until he does something. Oh boy, that's a blown assignment on note. But so, he's the kind of pick that you look at and you're like, it's a single, maybe it stretches into a double, and if it gets any bigger than that, huge win. Right now, he seems like the blocking tight end that could work. Sam Z, you asked what do the Bears have to offer? You mean in terms of like a Wilson trade? They have a lot of first-round picks. That's it. And if Seattle wants to go to a more run the ball, pound the ball, or like play defense kind of thing, that works. Like they could offer a whole bunch of first-round picks. I don't know why Seattle would trade Russell Wilson. All I know is there's so much smoke around it at the moment that I can't not take it seriously, if that makes sense. But we'll see. It's a good question. And somebody said, talked about Jonathan Wood saying that he's like Shaheen but not made of glass. I think that's a little harsh. I think Shaheen was actually a little better in the air. But that Kmet so far looks like he's a better blocker than Shaheen is. This is that Russ Magic moment where we've got 2 tight ends to get all the way down the field. Right, Sam, a top 20 pick. So 2 first-round picks in our case, but it should be 3 first-round picks, probably 2 players at the very least, and all that's plenty worth it for exact reasons like this. So I don't want to run the same play twice. So in this case, we're gonna run. Well, we have to. I kind of made our bed. Now we got to sleep in it. So we're gonna take the same exact gain. Now I got 20 seconds or 30 seconds. 1 timeout. 2 players, no quarterback. Bears don't really have a quarterback to offer, Sam. I would love to say that they did, but I'm not going to pretend that they do. They've got Nick Foles. Like, I wouldn't exactly call this, or the Bears, as they are, the kind of team that's going to give you a ton of quarterbacking options. All they've really got is picks, and maybe Khalil Mack, but we'll see. It really all depends on what Seattle wants at that point. Oh, Cohen. I thought he had it. Let's see. It doesn't really matter. I'm just looking to snap the ball and sneak it in. Go, Russ! Fantasy owners everywhere! Yeah, Sam, we'll see. Maybe they do. Maybe they look at Khalil Mack and they say, why would we get Jadeveon Clowney when we could get Khalil Mack? But I have no idea. At this point, it's Seattle's bed to make, because I personally think that trading Khalil Mack, or trading Russell Wilson would be a terrible idea. So we'll see. Yeah, Quantum, can you even envision? That's 1/2. At this point, Russell Wilson's just putting on an absolute clinic. One of those drives in like 40 seconds, and the Bears are up 26-7. But yeah, so this is, the Bears are juicing it. Russ, like, can you even envision what Soldier Field would be like if this happens? But so, what franchise? Honestly, there's not a ton of options. Like, that's one thing, Sam, that, like, and anybody feel free to chime in, because right now it's just Sam and I, but there's not a ton of, like, or what would you call it? There's not a ton of precedents that I can think of in terms of a franchise quarterback, like a top 5 quarterback in the NFL getting traded. It's part of why this deal has such a big impact potentially on the NFL as it stands, is because everybody's kind of looking at it like, you're kidding me, this could really happen, and we'll see what goes on. But at this point, I'm going to entertain the idea that it'll happen until it doesn't, because the idea of Russell Wilson being, no, Sam, I'm probably saying 3. That's my guess anyways. 3 and some players, because you can't trade 6 first-rounders. Believe it or not, Bears fans, you can only trade 3 first-rounders at a time out into the future until draft day, where you can trade 4, because you can trade 3 future first rounders and the pick that you have that day. But that's the only setting in which you're able to get more than 3 first rounders into one trade, which is part of why I think the Bears are going to just about tick that thing up to max as they go about trying to construct the offer. Either way, even considering Russell Wilson as a Chicago Bear has been so much fun that I'm really enjoying it. But so let's see. Yeah, that's Neo. That's exactly right, except I actually think Watson will cost a lot more. Remember that, like, the big... John, we very well may. But so, the big thing for Watson is that I don't think Houston wants to trade him, so you have to make an offer that they can't refuse. Obviously, Watson wants out. Obviously, we all know about all this. But it's different when you say a player wants out versus they are also trading the player. That's what I think makes this whole thing with Seattle so wild. Sam, Watson probably costs more because Watson is younger. He's about 7 years younger, so in theory you've got way more career runway for him. It's because of that I think a team like Miami, whose number 3 pick has more value than the Bears' next 3 first rounders just on its own. And he's not necessarily injury prone. He's gotten hurt once. Am I crazy? Outside of getting hit a bunch. But that's neither here nor there. Everybody can make their decision. Either way, Watson looks to be a franchise quarterback in every sense of the word, and that's something that I think teams are going to take as really valuable, whereas literally the only thing working against Wilson is the fact that he's technically a little old, and that may be enough. Like, you're exactly right, Sam. Wilson's never missed a start, and his age alone may be enough to drop his price a little bit, and that may be part of why Seattle wants to move away from it, but I think it would be much to their loss if they did that. It's not my decision, and ultimately I'll take it whatever they do. Cohen's going to field this. Come on, Tree. Yeah! Technically gained. Yeah. Old like Rodgers, exactly. Not even old like Rodgers. He's only going to be 33 in November, so you could do worse. All right, Bears fans, this is the best part of the game right here. I know you've been excited about it. This is where we grind this rock out with Puka Williams, because we're up by a lot, and they're not. Well, that's not going to help. But so, at this point, we're just chewing that clock down. Let's audible into our RPO. Go from there. Shoot. I misread that. That's not gonna work. All right, so let's go to the gun and let's kick things up. Yeah, I know Wilson didn't come here to run the ball, but he's up so many points that there's only so many things I can do. We're gonna try to get this to Mooney if we can, but obviously I would also love to get it to Allen Robinson. But Mooney's got the yards. But so yeah, Neo, I would love to. All right, so Russ goes out and gets us that, and now it's back to the running game. Let's see if Puka can grind out some more yards in his first career start. Come on, show it to the city. There we go. All right, so 6 yards. We move forward. I don't know why I went no huddle. I think it's just habit at this point. First down, baby. All righty. So then Matt Nagy didn't come here to run the I formation, but dadgummit, that's what we're going to do to just try to mix it up a little bit. There's Cole Kmet getting an extra rep. Nice block. And 4 more yards. 12 rushes, 85. He's going to go over 100, right? Is that something y'all want? See Bears get more than that? Look at that run formation. This will work for us. We should be able to get to a second level. Oh, did not get much. 3 yards is ish. Yeah, we got to get him the century mark. Let's go to concept and get a sweep. Not a jet sweep, a normal sweep. Halfback toss should favor Puka because he's as fast as he is. But we'll see how this goes. Oh, there we go. Yeah, his juke moves and whatnot are not strong, but his actual foot speed is pretty solid. Hey, Super Mario, great to see ya. So one thing that you guys should expect, just by the way as a content thing, is I'm going to be trying to film a lot more of those studio videos that I used to do because they're easier for me to make. There's something that, like, whether it's Russ, whether it's something else, I can just point the camera at myself, film it, and go. And I think it works really well as far as getting content out weekly because I want to put more of an emphasis on having more content on the channel just like this so that we can talk about scheme, talk about players, and it helps me do little things like studs and duds and less like true breakdowns, because the long form breakdowns, think like the Foles video or the Quinn video, I love those. I think those are awesome, but they take a while. Like I'm in the middle of writing one for, I won't spoil it, but you're going to be surprised when you see it hit the channel. But so that's one that like I'll try to see if I can't film more of those and put them together and put them up on the channel while I write bigger pieces and get those edited, because those are a whole lot of fun and I love to make them. But honestly, if you know how Brett Coleman does this for a living, I have another job, and if I don't, and as soon as I make enough off of this channel to do this for a living, I can do a whole lot more of those. Yes, Neo, that's exactly right. Like, I can do a whole lot more of those Quinn-style breakdowns if I have the time to write it, and that's just something that is tougher when you have a 40-hour-a-week job. But hey, that's not me trying to complain. It's just me pointing out exactly what I got going on. And yeah, I'm with you, Mario. Nintendo does not help you out on the Madden front at all. Oh my gosh, somebody said Pookie Bear, and it's not like I'm throwing up, but it's just so funny because I completely see the Bears calling them, or like, not the Bears, but Bears fans calling him that, and it would make sense. We're going to see if we can't stick this into the end zone, by the way. Let's play action. Robinson in the back. He's in! They never saw it coming. That's a big contract. And Russell Wilson going up on the board. Man, can you even imagine, like, that long drive ends with a 4th touchdown, toe tapper in the end zone. Man, this is truly fantasy kind of stuff. And they upheld the ruling. We're good there. We're going to go for this because fortune favors the bold. Yeah, Madden Mobile is no fun from what I understand. So let's pull it across. Kmet's wide open. What? Did Kmet drop that? Russ has 1 incompletion, by the way, which is hilarious. But so we've been dancing on the Lions. I'm about this. But so, yeah, that's definitely something I'm looking to do. I want to have more videos on the channel, just like I want to make good videos. I love making good videos. They just take time. And so I want to give them that kind of time, which is part of why I'm looking to make the transition that I am. So that, because one thing that I feel like I've done is I've told y'all over the years, hey, I'm figuring this out, and then not a ton of stuff comes up. Let me see, to get to your question, Sam, 3 first-rounders and 3 players selected in the first round. If you have 3 players selected in the first round, you absolutely can trade that. There's no limit on the stuff you can put into a trade. You just can't guarantee your 31st to somebody just to make a trade, if that makes sense. The NFL doesn't want teams to basically be able to tank themselves over time. So that's no problem. If you're talking like 3 first-rounders and somebody else's pick, obviously that doesn't work. But it's the NFL trying to protect its teams, and technically on draft day, 3 years in the future is a different pick, so you can trade that 4th first-rounder. Any other questions, comments, concerns, and so on and so forth? Yeah, no kidding, right, Sam? Because they haven't had a first-rounder in years, because they keep trading them. But so, yeah. Let's see. We will see. You know what? I think we can squeeze another one in. Another game. We'll get both of the first 2 weeks down as we grind out this game. Matthew Stafford did not have a great one. Lions get 1 touchdown on the day, and that was on a blown Carl Joseph assignment where I missed a tackle. Oh, nice play. Let's see. Man, 1 TFL gets him in the zone. That is bananas. All right, so we got 4th and 6. I'm going to call a standard cover 3. They've had real trouble adjusting to that. We're going to get Mac onto the quarterback if I have anything that works. Let's see if we trade our... Yeah, John, we absolutely will, but what we will have is Russell Wilson. And I think I think that does a lot of good for a GM that's not very good with his first-rounders anyways. And look, don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to go bananas here. I'm well aware that when you use your first-rounders, you're going to eventually get good players. I don't think it's as binary as saying, okay, we have this many first-rounders, or we haven't used our first-rounders well, so how about we just trade them all? What I will say, though, is, if you can get really good players for those first-rounders, you're ultimately putting yourself in position to succeed anyways. I think the Bears, even if you take Khalil Mack off the team, are a decent draft away with Russell Wilson to being really, really good. And a lot of that's because I have faith that a quarterback change changes everything. And so we'll see what happens. At the end of the day, I would love to see a Russell Wilson trade break, but who wouldn't in terms of a Chicago uniform? And I'm willing to pay just about anything for it. So let's see. We've got one more play. Let's see if we can't try to stick this into the end zone. Ooh, get the snap off. Bummer. Only 7-32. So Russell Wilson has, if I'm doing the math correctly, in standard leagues, Russell Wilson puts 22 fantasy points on the board, and that's not even accounting the yards in 6-minute quarters, with 4 aerial touchdowns and 1 rushing touchdown. So solid start to his Bears career, to say the very least. Let's take a look at the stats. Look at those rushing yards. Look at that balance. That's what I'm talking about. 9 yards per play. Yeah, at this point, all of a sudden, you got to think the MVP chant would come out of Soldier Field. But so then we move on. We should be able to actually get a bizarre amount of, a really surprising amount of snaps out of like Puka's growth and whatnot. So we get a whole bunch of EXP, which is great. Man, a lot of stuff for like team rushing yards and whatnot. Puka over here. Let's see. Elusive back, power back, receiving back. Let's do elusive. Try to give him a little more speed. Carrying, change of direction. Oh well. Let's just upgrade all the players. That should help. And then we'll dive into the next one. Let's see. It would have to be Russell Wilson. Running backs don't win MVP, yes. QB is a team multiplier. Other players. I think that's a great way to look at it. Another way that I would say it John, is that a lot of players are big parts of a team. Take Khalil Mack. Khalil Mack's a phenomenal example of this. Khalil Mack is a very, very good player, and he is incredibly good anytime. Ooh, let's see what we got here. NFC offense, Russell Wilson. He won an award. But so, anyways, Khalil Mack's an extremely good player, but he's especially good in positions where he is going to be rushing the passer. So when do you rush the passer? When you're winning, which the Bears have not been very good at setting up. The Bears haven't been particularly great, unfortunately, at setting up positions where they're in the lead, and Khalil Mack has therefore had to play, I wouldn't say coverage, but differently than you would want him to if you were somebody else. So at this point, let's put Puka in just because we like offense. Matt, that is hilarious. But so, I'm dying to know because we're about to play him. But so, let's see, dev trait, we don't know. It's hidden. That can't, hopefully it's not terrible.
You have a player healed from injury and ready to
Eddie
play.
Goldman is back. Perfect. But so, at this point, we've got a solid stable of defensive tackles. We've got, let's take a look at the lineup. I bet we could move Bilal Nichols over to one of the end positions. But so, yes, I completely agree, Ion. Like, that Khalil Mack instantly elevated the whole defense in terms of the way that he played. The trouble is that I think that you talked about him being a multiplier. I think that you need a lot of very good players on defense to reach that same height that other players might get you to. The trouble being that, let's see, Bilal Nichols can go there, and then Okafor there, whatever his name is there, that'll do. But so anyways, back to this. Without an offense to help Khalil Mack out, it felt like the defense in this last season really flagged. And I know a lot of us could talk about how a lot of that might come down to to things like Chuck Pagano and the way that he was managing the defense, and that very well may be true. Let's see, uniforms. Let's go with not the current home or that. Does this work? No. Okay, we want this one. This is the one we're gonna run with this time. What's good, Max? But so, Khalil Mack is. Let me make this point before we kick the game off, because sometimes it's difficult to do both. Khalil Mack is an awesome player. He's awesome when his offense is productive for him. But in a position where he was put in last year, where he doesn't have a lead to defend, in many cases it felt like he was rushing the passer by himself without a healthy Akeem Hicks, or at least the Akeem Hicks he was used to at 2018's level, without Eddie Goldman, and without a Robert Quinn that's really holding up his end of his large contract bargain. So instead it felt like Khalil Mack was coming after, let me see, yeah, the Texans, perfect. Or Neo, I knew you knew what I was talking about. So anyways, what this means is that Khalil Mack doesn't add the same multiplier that Russ does, because Russ can operate independent of what the defense is doing. If you're down 1 billion points, okay, you got to throw it. That works for a quarterback. If you're up 1 billion points, okay, quarterback still touches the ball, so should things happen on defense, you should be fine. Instead, I'd say defense works the opposite. The defense has to play at a level that's kind of dictated by what their offense does. It's not to say if they're down, they get worse. It's more to point out the idea that if the offense can't score, the defense can't win the game by themselves unless they get some really crazy turnovers, which, hey, it's possible, but you need the other offense to open you up that opportunity. And why would an offense deviate from the quick game that can so commonly take guys like Khalil Mack out of the game when they're winning? And if they're not winning, they're tied, and they're going to be winning soon, or at least that's how I would process it if I was an opposing team. So we'll see what happens, but at the end of the day, if the Seahawks want Khalil Mack, I love Khalil Mack, but I would love to try what it's like to be an offense-first team with a quarterback like Russell Wilson that needs a little more from their defense, even if it meant sacrificing the defense that we love so much that ultimately has gotten us to 8-8 for the last 2 seasons. Yeah, I mean, thank you, Ian B, because I did not look. Does that make sense, guys? Like, the scary thing is Khalil Mack's being paid as much as he is, and that's great. I mean, it is. He's a very good player. He's not worth it. He's one of the best edge rushers in the game, and I will never back down from that. But, and he also had a phenomenal season last year. But in that phenomenal season, he still only had like 9 sacks or something, partially because his offense just wasn't creating the opportunities for him to go hunt the opposing quarterback until that late stretch at the very end, where then against the Saints and the Packers, the offense wasn't there. I would love to see what happens with the offense first. Let's see. Yeah, good point. This is a surprisingly interesting, like, punch for punch team. It's why the Seahawks Neo might think that maybe if they just take the Bears pieces, they could do more with them. I could very easily see Pete Carroll looking and being like, Matt Nagy doesn't know what he's doing. Give me a decent quarterback like Marcus Mariota. You give me Khalil Mack and David Montgomery. Watch us go win 1 billion games. While obviously Matt Nagy in that case would be sitting on the other end like, you give me Russell Wilson and I'll show you what I can do. It's a good question. I don't really know what's going to happen, but I am excited, especially if the trade goes down, to just see what it's like. Because we've been down this Chicago road for a long, long time. Also, Max, you're totally right. Like, this throwback is awesome, and it comes with some really good memories. I hope they keep it up. I think Mac Jones looks really good. I do. I mean, I do think he's quarterback number 5, personally. I don't think that there's any shame in that either. But I don't think that he looks bad. Every time I watch him, he's making really nice throws. I just want to see him outside of Alabama's offense, and then I haven't watched the Senior Bowl yet, if I'm being really honest with you. So we'll see what that all looks like. I'm very curious to know what that tape looks like, but I'm not going to make any like big proclamations until I get there. What I will tell you is you can't call Mac Jones inaccurate because he throws the ball very accurately. I do think he has an NFL arm. It's not the world's strongest arm. It's not Russell Wilson, who's got a surprisingly strong arm, by the way, but it is good. And his pocket mobility is oversold a lot because he moves really well in the pocket, and not everybody needs to be a Justin Herbert style mobile fiend. But we'll see. Let's see. You missed Unlimited, Radcom. How likely is Wilson? I don't really know. But what I will say is I think that the smoke is a lot more real than I would otherwise think it was. Like, we have not heard anything outside of people saying that the Bears offered a lot for Watson. Wilson, on the other hand, has gotten article after article after article after article, and it really makes me think that something might be on the rise here. It's part of why I reset the franchise to trade for him, because I think it's super duper fun. And so at this moment, I'm just enjoying the ride. I think that it makes a huge difference for us. Also, for all you haters, there are no haters in this chat, but all you haters out there that commented on my last stream saying I didn't run the ball, I'm trying to stick to it a little more. And of course, I'm doing that right after I trade for Wilson. So we're not exactly letting him cook, but we are getting a whole bunch of yards. First drive's looking real good so far. So let's stay in the single back. We will. Yeah, no, John, that's exactly right. Like, Khalil Mack, even, we did not see this level of smoke and this level of, hey, it really looks like it's going to happen, and people hearing this and that and the other and so on. And it really makes me think something's possible here. But, you know, we'll see. Okay, cover one. It actually looks like Kmet may get open here, unless the safety rotates, in which case Jordan Reed is open. Touchdown! Touchdown! So, Max, which players would I want to... Let me see. Going off the pro day... going to the pro day of an RB. That wouldn't surprise me. But so, Audrey, if they are going to scout around for running backs, because running back is a position that you can... running back is a position you can replace in the draft, like drafting Puka. I mean, I'm laughing about it, but... I traded David Montgomery to the Seahawks, and the Bears are still running for 1 billion yards. Partially because Madden, but partially because running backs they're not a dime a dozen. That's not fair. It's more that you can get a lot of value out of very different running backs. In Puka's case, if you haven't noticed, the primary reason we're getting yards is because the holes are opening up and Puka's fast. He can't break any tackles, and he can't make many moves after Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh, it's Trey Lance. They drafted Trey Lance. This is hilarious. But so anyways, all that to say that if the Bears did trade David Montgomery, we may very well be needing a running back as the Bears would move on from there. So as far as, again, to answer the question, the players that I want to see traded, I don't know, because I don't have a choice here. I think that right, John? I think it's better put that I would like to know what the Seahawks are planning, because once we figure out whether they want to compete this year, we've got a decent idea of what players are probably going to go. I'll just tell you guys right now, nobody's untouchable, in my opinion. Eddie Jackson's probably not moving on account of his contract. That's something worth remembering, is that Jackson's contract makes it such that if the Bears traded him... Oh yeah, they do have Montgomery. There he is. But so, if the Bears traded Jackson, they... Oh, and he gets stuck. Khalil Mack, or what is that? Or Danny Trevathan. Let me see. Terrified as a Vikings fan. No, it's the best. Having the Lions in the division is so great. But so, yeah. Exactly, Superman. You can end up with a whole lot of like really good running backs, but getting back to the point, Jackson's probably not moving because his contract means that if you trade him, if you trade Eddie Jackson, he costs more on the cap, which makes it very unlikely, in my opinion, that he gets moved. Max, it depends on what they want out of Mooney. They could very well trade for Mooney if they want to get rid of Tyler Lockett, but Max, I'll tell you what. If I was them, I would way rather just keep Lockett and stick with that instead of getting Mooney, because I think that makes more sense. Not to mention, I think Lockett's the stronger player. That's not an anti to Mooney. He's just more practiced, and I think veterancy in the NFL really does make a difference. If you can't tell, I'm using a whole lot of like things that cut across because I think Kmet's a really solid use in terms of a speedy-ish tight end. But let's get cooking a little bit. By the way, let's go mesh. I think that's one of my favorites. I think Robinson's going to be open here, but we'll see if they leave Reed open. They did not. We can run with this, and he didn't even need to take the hit. Big rush for 18 yards. But yeah, if the bright side is, if you think about it this way, if you traded for Wilson with Mack, then Mooney's untouchable because the Seattle Seahawks are going in a different direction. If you trade Jalen Johnson, you can keep Kyle Fuller. If you trade Kyle Fuller, oh boy, we are going to throw that away. If you trade Kyle Fuller, you are going to, you're going to keep Darnell Mooney. Everything depends on the way that the Seahawks want to go with this, and I can't tell you guys from the jump what that's going to be. It's really their call. Let's take a look, by the way. So this motion's going to go out, and nobody's covering Puka. So let's take the snap here, see where he goes. He's not open, unfortunately, but Mooney is. Money! But yeah, we'll take a look at what this is, it'll be really interesting to see what this is all going to look like. But yeah, the wheel route, right? Got play action here, Robinson's open, and we like it. But yeah, I love Mooney. I think I love Mooney and I love Robinson a whole doggone lot. I think both of them are phenomenal players. It's exactly why I want to keep both of them. We're going to set up a jailbreak screen. I bet you guys, I hope this works. But so we've got one guy kicking over there. Makes me feel better about it. No, it did not work. Mooney was never there, which is hilarious. But so let's go mesh right here. Take a quick snap. Mooney's open. Blitz. Okay, so as you guys can tell, it's 3rd and 28, meaning that I did not do a great job of watching the field. So let's get play action read going, try to get some of these yards back and kick. If we're really lucky, we get we'll get some huge conversion, but I'll just kick this. But yeah, Neo, it'll be really interesting. I really have no idea what Kmet's going to look like in the future. I know a lot of people are really high on him. I would say that I am fairly high on him, and as a second rounder, that's just okay. But so Case, I get what you mean, but I run a lot of it purely because of habit. To be completely candid, it all works in Ultimate Team, grinding out challenges, and that stuff numbs your brain out. I need to go to concept so that I have more dictation, and I'm just out of habit with it. But hey, we got the field goal, so we're up 2 points, or 2 scores. Now we face Trey Lance again. Let's see. Huh. Game plan says cover 2. Interesting. Oh, Trey! You can't do that! And we didn't get the fumble back. That sucks. But either way, we gotta let him know. Trevathan actually caused a fumble last time he faced the Seahawks quarterback, too. It was Russell Wilson, and it was in that 2019 game. 2018 game. It's a while ago, man. Time's passing, yo. But yeah, either way, it'll be really, really interesting to see what... it'll be really interesting to see what happens with this Russell Wilson saga. Because, let me see, Capu. I may be missing something there, Case. It'll be interesting to see what happens. There really does feel like there's a lot of smoke around it, and I'm not convinced about just anything necessarily, but no, it's Trey Lance, Case. But we will, we're going to see what happens. It'll be curious to follow, if nothing else. And hey, if everything works out, the Chicago Bears will be starting one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL, and then they'll be able to watch, hopefully, Allen Robinson and certainly Darnell Mooney just tear the field up. And who knows, maybe we even see Anthony Miller make a comeback, and Russell Wilson helps him find his stride a little bit. I would love to see it. I really would. But at the moment, we're here to win a game of Madden. Try to go 2-0. That's all you can think of, right? One game at a time. Let's see. Cover 2 seems to be working well for us, and we are caught out of sync. But the Seahawks have some time to work, or they've got some time to work out. Let's see. We'll go cover 3. Case, I see what you mean. With Lance picking number 7 in this, he totally looks like Kaepernick. That's hilarious. Especially given that potential, tall, number 7, in this case playing on Seattle, I mean, he'd be acquirable. That's hilarious. Hadn't thought about it.
First and 10 here, and if they could just get 3 out of this, something about whittling it to a 1-score game at half.
All right, solid incompletion. Oh yeah, I completely agree. I mean, let's see, Watson, don't know. Oh yeah, that's hilarious, Neo, that you make that distinction, that you're like, they'd definitely be Pro Bowlers, but I don't know about all pro. I agree. I think that they'd both enjoy a real resurgence. I think Mooney has the best shot at turning into a true Pro Bowler in that case. But let's see. Yeah, to get Tom Brady. Yeah, Super Mario, that hurt a little bit. Though I'll tell you what, I thought Kirk Cousins played decently in terms of his statistical numbers. And not to mention, he certainly helped Justin Jefferson just pop off. But it'll be interesting to see where the Vikings go. I saw something on Twitter the other day, and I mean this as nicely as I can say it. And honestly, no disrespect whatsoever, as much as possible. But I saw somebody compare the Vikings to the Mariners, and I felt like that comparison was almost a little too apt, because I feel like... did he throw it too fast? Or too far forward? I would love that. But anyways, I feel like the Vikings are that team that I'm constantly afraid of that ends up a little meeker in the season than you want them to. But I am always over at Daily Norseman because I find it so fun to read, and y'all do a great job. And so it'll be interesting to see. Would you believe it, Quantum? I am a Texas Rangers fan. So I don't have anything fun to cheer for, and haven't for quite some time in the world of baseball. We had 2 World Series attempts. They went sideways, and that's been my baseball experience. So, yay. Seriously, though, talking back about Mooney, I do think Allen Robinson and keeping him is important because I think Allen Robinson's sort of the safety blanket of this offense. But what I will tell you for sure is that I think Russell Wilson affects Mooney, I wouldn't say more than Robinson, but he helps open the offense up a lot more. Like Russell Wilson to Darnell Mooney would be a real thing to think about as far as any offense and adjusting to what the Bears had to offer. That's a dangerous combination that I would just love to see because Russell Wilson's deep ball is shockingly good. Like, it's not going to work in Madden because Madden hates it when you try to throw deep, in my experience. Intermediate game seems to be the only way to really work with this sort of thing. But that's a combination that, again, I would just love to see. Oh, boy. Nice catch, A-Rob. That'll do. Yeah, moonball to Mooney, especially on broken plays, Alex. That's something that I feel like would... Oh, wait, we should call timeout. That's something I feel like would blend really well together. I've seen Russ throw, even on just like very little like film work that I've done, I've seen Russ throw so many truly incredible deep balls that I would just love to see him doing that in a Bears uniform. In this uniform, even better. Alright, so we got another one. Yeah, big catch by A-Rob, big catch by Jordan Reed. But we take these. Let's go one more vertical here. See if we can get something. Ooh, this would be... Give me Mooney. Oh! Couldn't quite come down with the one-hander. I understand. Let's take another end zone shot. Especially if Mooney gets open. Though he's got a pretty tough assignment ahead of him. Final play of the half. It's Wilson looking long for his tight end Reed. Ooh, close. Oh well. We'll move on to the next half. Up 3. He could not hang on. It's third down. And okay, so much for our halftime break. Apparently we're going to get right back to it. Let's do this. All right. Any other Bears questions that we can answer as we enter the second half or the final half before we have run out of time and I got to drop the stream? I think we built a solid little team here, by the way. It's one that I would certainly be curious to watch. I think it'd be flawed. I don't necessarily think Wilson automatically means Super Bears Super Bowl. But what I will tell you is that I think Russell Wilson gives the Bears a chance to be really dynamic on offense. And a dynamic offense, you just never know. Let's see. What game would I like back from last season? Let me think about it a little bit. Like... You're talking a true do-over. I think it's probably... It's not just because Super Mario's in the chat. That Foles-Vikings game was awful. That game was very winnable. It was the worst game Foles had. And in the breakdown stream, I spent way too much time just looking at things that they didn't necessarily suck because of the quarterback. But Nick Foles did not help and missed a couple of chances, which really stunk. Let me see. No kidding, Mario. That's awesome. That's hilarious. But so, oh boy. What is interesting to think about is like that Vikings game, had the Bears won it, I don't know if they stick with Foles, and that's not the point, but what the Bears do is that they're able to correct themselves before the Packers game. Ooh, another good candidate for this is the second Lions loss. I was about to say Matt. That one and the Titans game. All three of those games, like I'd redo the Rams game if I could. I'd redo the that Titans game. I'd redo the Vikings game. But I think that the Lions, the more that I think about the season, probably sticks the hardest. Mac just caused a fumble on Montgomery. This is hilarious. All right, let's take a look at we need to watch the replay. Look at this. David Montgomery gets the ball. Boom! Khalil Mack takes it from him. Mack truck coming through. All right. Let's get this ball on the ground a little bit and see if we can't punch this thing, like gain some yardage on the... I don't like it. Let's go tight end drive. Pull Kmet across. He's not there. Jordan Reed is. It's as easy as it gets, folks. First down. But yeah, exactly. That second game was really painful. Let's go gun. You know what? Let's go by concept. This is more what I'm looking for anyways. Let's start with a stick play. I'm a big fan of Y-stick. We should be able to get an option here with either Robinson. Robinson's the better option. Hey, Rob Pub. We're going to go here now. Let's go by... Oh, I didn't know you could do tight end attack from that. We're going to give Mooney the ball in an end around. Let's do it. Can't lose. Can lose. Of all the things that I expected, that wasn't it. All right, let's get a curl route. I actually think this will do us really, really well here, as the Bears should be able to get some yardage back. We want to go to A-Rob. Man, that corner stopped on a dime. What a bummer. All right, so let's see. We want something that's going to give us a shot. I think level switch is going to be our best option. Their linebackers are struggling to cover our tight end, which is great. And that drive route right there. Do we go for it? Yeah, can't lose. Instantly sacked. Let's see. Right. Man, Patterson was loud with that, too. All right, so check this out. This is one of my favorite short yardage plays because what you're going to see, it's the one we've been running this whole time. Nobody should end up on Kmet, and if somebody does, they're going to stop, and we're going to get Wilson. Kmet's in. Boom! The big volleyball spike going for it. Man, Vasher, that was your favorite moment? I thought that Saints game was so hard to watch. Because the defense was beasting. Honestly, they were playing so well. It hurt. The game was hard to watch because obviously we got pretty well throttled because our offense wasn't moving the ball, and we've broken that down. The touchdown drop really hurt. Because, especially given that they had it right in their hands, but oh well. Either way, up 17 to 7. I'm about this so far. Big time play by Khalil Mack to set that up as we now enter a crucial part of the game as we look for that little bit more. Oh, David Montgomery making moves, and he ultimately gets. Let's see. Okay, so he made a whole bunch of moves and got 3 yards. That sounds about right, gonna be honest. Let me see. Oh, Audrey, if he was, and part of it's because I also may have let it go. I definitely think Santos is awesome, but if the Bears end up with a ton of cap space, they may need it for other positions. It'll be really interesting to see what happens here in terms of what goes on. And yeah, I'm with you, Matt. I think that Wims being on the team would be a real bummer, but we'll see.
That'll be a pickup of 10 as they try to recover from this 10-point deficit. They still need about the length of the football here.
Hang on, my wife's texting me. Be right back.
A give to Montgomery out of the gun. And nothing doing. He's immediately taken down at the line of scrimmage. They'll say no gain on the play, so it was
all right, we are in it. Right. But so let's see. We got 3rd and inches. So let's go with a true 3-4 and cover 1 hole. I think that'll work. Yeah, no kidding. The NFC North really just passes stuff around. But so, boxing debut? Oh man. Oh yes. We're talking about Wims and Miller. Miller got tagged for the same thing. Ooh, Monty got it. Hey, Bears fans everywhere, salute you. 9 rushes for 29 yards. We'll take it. Let's see. Okay, so we're going to play some tight man coverage here. Try to get this in the zone Khalil Mack home off of... Oh, it's a screen, and he's free. Guys, I'm going to be honest. My defensive game plan is not doing what it probably ought to. But let's see if we can't slow it down even just a little bit. Because we're up by 10 points. They've got to come to us. So we can make this work. I'm a big fan of cover 3 zones, by the way. In terms of just like analytical mindset and stuff like that, this has become one of my, it's not just one of my favorite Madden defenses, but I think it's a really strong defense in general, because where cover 3 challenges you is up the seams, and not a lot of teams are always sending somebody up that seam. And so at that point, you force them to check it down into a flat zone of the field, and it's just, and it's tough to gain yards in the modern NFL trying to like stick stuff off of the flat all the time. And yeah, there's a little bit of that air guitar action with Brent Urban. All right, 3rd and 13 as we go for this. That'll work. I'll take it, guys. Now we got a 4th and 7, and I've got to envision that they're going to be going for this. Are they really going to kick it? I'll take it. I'll take a kick. That works for me. 3 minutes, 27 seconds. The kick is bad. Doink! Doink! Boom! Bang! 10. Let me see. Doinking in Chicago ought to be somewhere on the order of illegal, but it's not, and it's funny when it happens to somebody else. Ooh, Puka takes a big hit there. He's gotten his name called 5 times all game, but he's been a real trooper about it. Oh no, Charles Leno's hurt! No! Charles Leno's got a back spasm! I mean, it looked like it. Let's see. We gotta go. We gotta run this ball. Thankfully, we've got Calvin Beachum. That's why you signed a swing tackle, and that'll do. Let's see. Muscle cramps. We're gonna take him out for now, but I'm not good, or I'm not happy about it. So Arlington Hambright's gonna get some big time reps, I guess. Ooh, Puka took a big shot there. Got nothing. Let's go by concept, and I think we can get a sweep going. It should work us pretty well. We're gonna have to get through Jamal Adams over there, but that's how it goes. We're also probably gonna hit this 2-minute warning and go for there, we're gonna take it because we want it. So hold on to your hats. We want another one of these sweeps. I love halfback toss. All the guys that get out there to block are phenomenal. So Horsted, come through for me, baby. Big time block. Fumble. Out of bounds though. First down. Nobody's excited about the fact that he ran out of bounds, but everybody loves a good first down, as do I. So we're going to take this as far as we can get it. There's a solid run there to set things up. Y'all, we're going to do it. The Chicago Bears, the virtual Chicago Russell Wilson-led Bears, a lot of caveats, are going to be 2-0 against the Seahawks and the Saints. And now we've got Jefferson Horsted down. Man, this game is really wearing on us. Don't you love it, Finn? Russ and the throwback unis? The throwback unis are just too good. I couldn't not use them. Ooh, Puka's got it. Touchdown. Or not touchdown at all, but a first down. We're going to run this thing all the way into the end zone if they let us. Man, have they really not been calling all the timeouts I anticipated they would be? Huh. But so, somebody said, I must have missed a message. Horsted has a bruised shoulder. Wait a minute. Was Horsted playing left tackle? Oh my gosh, we got all the way down the chain. I think Horsted played a couple of snaps there. Ooh. Puka didn't get anything there. Let's see, 3rd and goal at the 10. I think the Bears probably go with a slant type here. Slant is so Madden. Let's see if we can't get more of like a deep dig. But then I gotta find one. Mesh should get us one. Mesh spot right here. I'm looking for Mooney in the end zone, so that's what we're going for. They got a cover 2 defense, So Jordan Reed might be able to back up into it, but we'll see. Oh, I think it's going to be Russ running it. And it's easy. Yeah, exactly. All right. Who knows? But either way, I have a little bit of faith that Matt Nagy and the Bears offense could get a whole lot better real quick with Russell Wilson. But I love the it's Nagy's fault meme. I think it's great. Matt Nagy is probably going to fail his game day goal of 150 rushing yards, but hey, 115 is pretty solid as the Bears look to go 2-0 for the first time since last season. So, you know, big wins there.
Takes this about 5 yards deep. And this will come out to the
Here we go, y'all. This is it. All right, let's see if we can't get a pick followed by 34 more rushing yards. Oh, Super Mario, I'm there. I agree. The Super Bowl Shuffle is really fun. It's hilarious that, you know, of course it came down to it being the Bears, which is awesome. But it's an awesome story that they did that and won it anyways. I love it. Ooh, that catch by Metcalf is not going to help him.
Put this one behind them. And he'll get it out near the 40 to the 39. 6 yards.
Let's get the men downfield.
Nowhere to go here. He lost the football. And this is picked up by the Bears.
Boom!
And they will take over at
A goal completed.
6-yard line.
Team 0 touchdowns. I like that goal. That works. Let me see. Best part was they made... Yeah, I know, right, Neil? That's wild to me. I can't believe... It's still a crazy story because I wasn't alive for the Super Bowl. That they made the Super Bowl Shuffle knowing that they were going to go win that game, then went out and won it. Just bananas.
Now they'll run it on the toss.
And Puka's going to get in the end zone. Oh, get in!
And he takes this one in for
Boom!
a touchdown. A great effort there.
That's it right there. We're doing it, guys. Out of absolutely nowhere, the Bears exploded at the very end of the game. So let's see. Did that get us to our rushing yards goal? Because I don't think it did, but it's close. Either way, we went after him. We got everything working. No, 26 yards, so not quite, but close. Man, can you even imagine that? Bears trade for Russell Wilson, immediately get to 7 to 30 some odd wins. That'd be so much fun. I mean, that's the whole hope with this thing. It'd be a blast. I hope it happens. Like, not just the wins, obviously, but honestly, it's just like seeing us with the quarterback. Super Mario, you probably know this. You've been a Vikings fan. But us Bears fans, we don't have a lot of quarterbacking legacy, to say the very least. So it'd be just super fun. Let me see. To be fair. Yeah, it would have been nuts. John, I'm with you. I would love to see a functional offense. And I think that ultimately we could get that delivered to us. And it would be hilarious. Because I don't actually know the schedule well enough to know whether the Bears play the Seahawks. But if they did play the Seahawks with Russell Wilson, that game would get so much publicity. It would be ridiculous. I'd love to see it. But either way, y'all, we did a great job here. We dusted two teams with bizarrely balanced attack, too. 9 yards per play in both cases. Got some takeaways here as the Bears move to 2-0, and we'll probably pick this up whether next week or the week after that. This is a good time. I really love getting to chill with y'all and just hang out and pass some time in the offseason talk about the Bears. So, yeah, that's exactly what I'm thinking, Audrey. It'll be really curious to see, and oh, yeah. That'll be awesome then if they do play the Hawks, just getting to see what happens. Looks like Puka gained another skill point. He'll get better and better as he goes. I don't know why I picked power back. That was a mistake. But we'll take it. We've got more snaps to go with him. Cole Kmet, let's take a look. What do we want to be? Vertical threat, possession. I think the possession receiver makes a lot of sense. And it looks like he just bumped himself up to like a 73, so neat. I think Anthony Miller out of the slot makes a lot of sense, though. No, he's definitely more of a slot receiver. To say otherwise is not true or not the case. And then Marquis Christian, honestly, you can upgrade yourself. But heck yeah. So then we'll go ahead. We'll advance to the next week. But the Bears are 2-0 in this. Well, what do we got? X Factor, halfback, X Factor. Okay, actually, it's talking about Myles Garrett and Chubb, I'm sure. And then Allen Robinson wants to negotiate. We can do that. We can do that another time. But either way, I wanted to see weekly awards. It looks like we didn't win anything. But we look around the league. We look at... I bet the league stats aren't great, if only because the Bears are not putting up crazy stats through the air because of 6-minute quarters. But either way, y'all, super fun Saturday. If you got any other questions, don't ever hesitate to DM me on Twitter. I will get to them. It takes me a little while to read through them sometimes, but I am going to. It is awesome getting to hang out with y'all. Super fun. Let me know whether on Discord, because I know that there's a Discord link that pops up often. Honestly, check it out. It's been super fun having that Discord. And I think that the community in it is really, really cool. I want to build something awesome with y'all. So we'll see what we can put together over time. And as far as content ideas go, let me know when I do start coming out with more studio style videos. Please let me know what you think of them, how I can make them a little better. Remember that they're going to be more quantum. It keeps popping up in Nightbot. It should be just above you. But so we're like, I want to make those studio style videos, things that are more like studs and duds, things that are more like Russell Wilson news compared to true breakdowns, which I want to get more out of those too, but you can only do so much. So we'll see. Either way, guys, super awesome. Super awesome getting to talk to y'all and hang out. But it'll be like, we'll see what happens from here. I'll be watching the Russell Wilson news, as I'm sure all of y'all will too. And until next time, Bears fans, bear down. Thanks so much.